Thank you very much for watching. How's this? We're all in the man cave together, which means no satellite delays, and we're all back where we were this time at the end of last year. Linda Scott, councillor from the City of Sydney. I'm going to talk about your Lord Mayor, Queen Clover, and Flaggate in a second. The national political editor, and so much more. Of course, host of the US Report here on Sky News, co-host of The Outsiders, the wonderful James Morrow. Looking fighting fit. Did you get a little bit of a shave, a little bit of a shear over summer?
A little bit of Shaun the Sheep action here, you know.
You're looking good, pal. All right, now we're going to get to this nonsense about the city and the flag stuff in a second. But I just want to, for a second, and I know it's kind of last week's debate, but it's our opportunity to talk about it now. You saw what I had to say a couple of minutes ago, James, about what people don't understand about the Woolies Australia Day stuff conversation. My issue, I don't care what companies choose to do. If they choose to stock something or not stock something, that's their choice, right? There are plenty of websites, and between now and Australia Day, we will promote. Plenty of places where you can buy your bunting or a flag or something that you want for what you want to do on Australia Day. My issue was that rather than just quietly kind of not doing it, they had to announce we're not doing it because they had to get the woke points because this is the next stage in the boxes you must tick in order to be pure.
Well, Paul, I have a bit of an issue with the whole sort of debate, too. Like, yes, okay, it's all bad, and, again, these sort of woke corporates, again, pushing their political agendas, and I'm sure that, not a lot of C-suite executives at Woolworths are going to be having big Australia Day barbecues at their places, on the Lower North Shore on next Friday. But that said, I also think that getting caught up in the weeds about what one company or another does is a mistake. And what we need to be doing, and I think what people who care about Australia and people who care about Australia Day need to be doing, is talking about the much bigger issue about what makes this country great and why it is worth celebrating, and not having this caveated, okay, look, there's some good stuff and some bad stuff, and we're going to talk about both and everything. No. You can have a day where you celebrate. A lot of bad stuff happened in the French Revolution. The French don't have it. Oh, I do not know if we should do Bastille Day because the terror and the guillotine is not so bien, Signor Paul.
Senor, hang on. That's about as sensitive as we got. And I'm so glad we're in the wide shot for Linda to have to watch that back time and time again on Channel 2 this year. Okay, when Peter Dutton turned around and he says you should boycott, right? The reason I disagree with the boycotting specifically of Woolworths is because I can guarantee you one thing, Australia, they'll turn a profit this year, and then everyone turns around and goes, oh, so much for the boycott. Come on, right? I don't know whether he should have gone there, but equally, Albo thinks that he's up on his high horse, and somehow everyone thinks this is just such a nothing issue. He, of course, says that it's all about Peter Dutton fighting culture wars. It all goes back to the central theme, which is to click and drag what they've been able to do, say, with Biden and Trump, which is to say, no matter how bad it is under us, we're not them. Vote for us because we're not them. Again, you're somebody who is well and truly progressive on this issue, does not believe anything of what James and I have just said about the necessity for the day. That's fine. We love a lefty every now and then.
But I think that Peter Dutton needs to explain to the Australian public why he thinks that people should boycott a company that is employing, hundreds of thousands of Australians. Retail jobs are really important. We've got lots of people in these
But what about when lefties say boycott Sky News?
And,
we've got employees too.
Well, but the retail sector is an absolutely enormous sector.
Sure.
Right? And I think that it's a very unusual ideological position for Peter Dutton to take as a person who supposedly
So
does
then if Anthony
believe in the
Albanese
free market
successfully
to
breaks up
call
Coles and Woolies, do you think that any of those
boycott.
workers may end up getting sacked as a result of the downsizing that may well happen as a result of the Emerson inquiry? Any chance of that happening?
Paul, you yourself have just highlighted that Woolworths last year made $1.6 billion. Coles made $1 billion. It's a pretty anti-competitive system. We have
largely off the sale of their petrol station business, but okay.
When Australians go into the supermarket, and this is what our leaders should be focused on, those prices are super high.
Okay.
And we've seen them
Well, hang on a second.
You can't run a litre of milk through the checkout without noticing how much these
I agree with this.
I'm not pretending, but this government's introducing taxation on the trucks that bring in the milk from the dairies.
And Coles and Woolworths are massively lifting up their prices on these kinds of basics that Australians can't afford. This is what we should be talking about, not tiny little flags and thongs that may or may not have an Australian flag on them around the 26th of April.
Okay, well, this is my point, right, which is, and you've seen spin as much as stories in your life, right? It feels like they're trying to do to the supermarkets what they successfully did to the Reserve Bank, which was to pretend that the end of the problem is the problem, not the ingredients to the problem.
Paul, both sides of politics, both, Peter Dutton's office and Anthony Albanese's office, they're seeing internal polling right now that says everybody hates big corporates. You are completely correct. Groceries are insanely expensive right now. The problem is we've got this duopoly, which is encouraged by government. The solution to that is not to add more regulation into the mix and to make it harder to do business. The solution ultimately is going to be more competition for the sector. I think that's the thing. But I think also when you talk about culture wars, this is this pattern that we get into over and over and over again with things. We saw it with The Voice, we see it with this, we see it with everything. Somebody comes along and wants to change something that's established, like Australia Day, and then so he says, "Hey, no, I don't think so," and they say, "Oh, you're a culture warrior." It's like, well, no, we're just trying to keep Australia Day. Let's just have a day.
Yeah. By the way,
that's not what Peter Dutton's focused on, is it? He's attacking Australian jobs, and he's attacking one particular company who employs thousands and thousands of Australians in order to provoke a culture war. Why would you do that? Why would you not focus on the common good of cost of living?
Would you agree? Would you not agree then that Woolworths was trying to trigger a culture war by going out of its way to say what it wasn't stocking and why it wasn't stocking?
I think they spoke about things like Australia Day merchandise. You'll tell me if I'm wrong here, being stocked in another version of the stores that they owned.
They had said that the meaning of the day had changed, all the rest of it. But here's the thing, when we're talking about companies making giant profits off the back of the things that Australians desperately need during a time of cost of living crisis where there is less money around. Right now, in November, that's the last month that got reported, gas and other household fuels was up 13%. Not the 4 and a bit percent that was the overall inflation. Electricity was 10.7%. Any conversations about the profiteering that's happening in those areas? What about the big bad bread and cereal giants who are up 8.3%? What about those evil landlords at 7.1%? So my point being, right, which is that I think to a degree, it will be effective for the government to be able to say for multiple weeks, supermarket, point to a bloke whose job it was to implement and then cancel Grocery Watch, a political generation ago, and pretend we've done something when nothing will change. And okay, they might be able to find something to fire out of a gun ahead of a by-election in Victoria to pretend they're doing something about cost of living, like the announcement today. 30,000 homes will have their power bills brought down. Great. But you know what the 30,000 homes were? They were housing commission houses, right?
They're still homes, Paul, which I'm saying. Still people.
And as I said, and I recognise that, but that's not moving the dial. That's trying to be seen to move the dial for a broader population who will receive no benefit from that decision.
Well, Paul, I mean, you want to talk about cost of living. This is the whole crazy thing about this government is that they are deliberately making things more expensive with one hand and then turning around and handing people's money back to them. I mean, energy, well, $235, that's gone with the wind. We all know that. That's gone with the wind.
But why is it allowed to go?
But with the energy policies, and also you want to talk about rents. Well, let's pack the joint full of several 100,000 migrants per year. That's going to cause competition. Oh, well, now we'll give some money back, or we'll go after landlords, and we'll go after that. But, it's like easier, I reckon, to just not make things more expensive in the first place, Paul.